I want to start this story in a way that feels honest, because I've seen this happen more times than I can count. I've watched people walk away from someone not because they were cruel or lazy or toxic, but because their dreams looked too small to be taken seriously. And almost every time, regret comes later, quietly, when it's already too late. This is the story of Lucas Moreno. When Sofia left him, it wasn't loud. There was no screaming, no broken plates, no dramatic exit. It was calm, almost cold. That's what hurt the most. She didn't say she hated him. She didn't accuse him of betrayal. She just looked at him with tired eyes and said she couldn't keep waiting for a future that might never come. Lucas stood there, hands in his pockets, listening as the person he loved explained why she no longer believed in him. She didn't leave because he had failed. She left because she didn't believe he would ever succeed. A few years earlier, Lucas was just another young man chasing a dream most people quietly laugh at: becoming a professional football player. Not a superstar yet. Not stadiums full of fans. Just the chance to play, to prove himself, to see how far his legs and his heart could take him. He trained wherever he could. Dusty public fields. Empty school pitches. Sometimes alone. Sometimes with friends who came and went, depending on work schedules and motivation. Lucas never complained. He was used to doing things quietly. Sofia, on the other hand, had always been practical, organized, focused on stability. She liked plans that came with guarantees, fixed salaries, predictable futures. When they first met, she found Lucas' passion charming. A young man with fire in his eyes, talking about football as if it were oxygen. But charm fades when bills arrive. First, she supported him. Or at least she tried to. She'd come to a few matches, clap from the sidelines, smile when he talked about scouts and opportunities that never seemed to materialize. But as months turned into years, her patience thinned. Lucas worked side jobs, deliveries, temporary contracts, anything that paid enough to survive and still left him time to train. He'd come home exhausted, legs sore, hands rough, mind still dreaming of goals and stadium lights. Sofia noticed everything. She noticed the late nights, the empty fridge sometimes, the way Lucas would watch football highlights instead of planning vacations or talking about buying a car. She started making comments, not cruel ones at first, just questions. Don't you think it's time to think about something more realistic? How long are you going to keep chasing this? What if it doesn't work out? Lucas always answered the same way. Calmly, with hope. I just need one chance. That sentence slowly became the problem. To Lucas, it was fuel. To Sofia, it sounded like an excuse. Their conversations changed. Where there used to be laughter, there was tension. Where there was encouragement, there was doubt. Sofia began comparing Lucas to other men their age. Friends who were getting promotions, buying apartments, planning weddings with certainty instead of hope. Lucas felt it, even when she didn't say anything. The sighs, the looks, the silence when he talked about football. Still, he trained. Every morning, before the sun fully rose, he ran. Evenings, he practiced alone, shooting at imaginary goals, replaying mistakes in his head, correcting movements no one else noticed. There were days he wondered if Sofia was right. Days when doubt crept in quietly, whispering that maybe love required sacrifice, and maybe the dream was the thing he had to let go. But every time he tried to imagine life without football, it felt empty. The breaking point came on an ordinary evening. Lucas had just come back from training, shoes muddy, shirt damp with sweat. He was tired but excited. A local coach had mentioned the possibility of an upcoming trial. Nothing guaranteed. Nothing official. Just a maybe. He shared it with Sofia, expecting at least a small spark of hope. She didn't smile. She listened, arms crossed, eyes fixed somewhere behind him, as if already thinking about something else. When he finished, there was a pause. A long one. Then she said it. I can't do this anymore. Lucas didn't understand at first. He thought she meant the uncertainty, the waiting, the struggle. He started explaining again, promising that things would change, that this opportunity could be different. She shook her head. It's not about this trial, she said. It's about everything. I need a life that moves forward. I need someone who knows where they're going. Lucas felt his chest tighten. I know where I'm going, he replied quietly. Sofia looked at him, and for the first time he realized something terrifying. She didn't believe him. She told him she loved him, or at least that she once did, but love, she said, wasn't enough to build a future on uncertainty. She wanted stability. She wanted certainty. And Lucas, with his muddy shoes and impossible dream, couldn't offer that. She packed a bag that night. There were no insults, no accusations, just disappointment. And disappointment cuts deeper than anger ever could. When the door closed behind her, the apartment felt smaller, quieter. Lucas sat on the edge of the bed for a long time, staring at the floor, replaying every conversation they'd ever had, wondering where belief had died. For weeks after, he moved like a shadow. Training, work, sleep, repeat. The silence Sophia left behind was loud. Every empty space reminded him of her absence. Every moment of doubt echoed her words. There were nights he almost quit. Nights when he thought about calling her, telling her she was right, asking her to come back. But something stopped him every time. Not pride, not anger. Hope. Hope is dangerous, especially when you're alone. Months passed. No calls, no messages. Sophia moved on. Lucas heard it through mutual friends. A new job, new plans, a life that made sense. His own life didn't look impressive from the outside. No trophies, no headlines, just persistence. Then on a day that felt no different from any other, everything changed. Lucas was finishing a late training session when a man approached him. He didn't wear a club jacket, didn't carry himself like someone important. He simply watched quietly for a while, then introduced himself. His name was Khalid El-Mansouri. He said he had been observing local players, said he liked Lucas' discipline, his movement, his mindset. Lucas listened, cautious, used to false promises. Then Khalid said something Lucas hadn't heard in a long time. There may be an opportunity abroad. Not Europe, not a big league. The United Arab Emirates. Lucas didn't tell anyone at first. Not friends, not family, and certainly not Sophia. He didn't want to hope again without reason. But as days passed, meetings followed. Videos were reviewed. Calls were made. The offer wasn't glamorous. A trial contract. Modest pay. No guarantees. But it was real. Accepting it meant leaving everything behind. His country. His comfort. The last fragments of the life he knew. It meant starting from zero in a place where no one cared about his past or his excuses. Lucas packed his bags quietly. He stood at the airport, boarding pass in hand, heart racing. For a moment he thought about Sophia. About telling her. About asking her to see this as proof that he wasn't delusional. Then he remembered her eyes the night she left. He boarded the plane without looking back. What waited for him on the other side would test him in ways he couldn't imagine. And 2 years later, the same woman who walked away would look at his life with regret she never expected to feel. But that came later. When Lucas landed in the United Arab Emirates, the heat hit him first. Not just the temperature, but the weight of the place. Everything felt bigger, faster, unfamiliar. The buildings rose like monuments to ambition, and for a moment, standing there with his single suitcase, he felt impossibly small. No one was waiting for him with applause. No cameras, no welcome speech. Just a driver holding a sign with his name spelled slightly wrong. The club facilities were impressive compared to what Lucas was used to, but the pressure was immediate. He wasn't seen as a promise. He was seen as a risk. A foreign player with no reputation, no guarantees, and everything to prove. Training was brutal. The pace was faster. The players stronger. Mistakes weren't tolerated. Coaches watched with unreadable expressions, writing notes Lucas never got to see. Some days he felt invisible. Other days painfully exposed. At night, alone in a small apartment provided by the club, doubt returned. There were moments he sat on the floor, phone in his hand, scrolling through old photos. Sophia smiling. Sophia believing, or at least pretending to. He wondered if she ever thought about him, if she ever regretted leaving. Then he'd remember the calm certainty in her voice when she said she needed someone with a future. And every time he'd put the phone down and wake up earlier the next morning. Weeks turned into months. Lucas wasn't the best player on the field, but he was the most consistent. He stayed after training. He listened more than he spoke. He learned the language of effort when words failed him. Slowly things changed. He started getting minutes in friendly matches. then substitute appearances. One night, under bright lights and low expectations, he scored. It wasn't a spectacular goal. No acrobatics. Just being in the right place at the right time. But that goal mattered. Coaches noticed. Teammates started passing to him more. His name stopped being mispronounced. The club extended his contract. The pay improved. Not millionaire money yet, but enough to breathe. Lucas called his parents that night. His voice cracked when he told them he was okay. That he was finally okay. He didn't call Sofia. 2 years passed faster than he expected. Lucas grew into the league. His body adapted. His confidence sharpened. He became reliable. Then valuable. Then essential. A bigger club noticed. Negotiations followed. This time there were guarantees. The contract he signed changed everything. Suddenly, Lucas Moreno was earning more in a month than he used to make in years. He moved into a home that felt unreal. Cars he once saw only in advertisements became ordinary. Luxury stopped being a dream and turned into a backdrop. But what surprised him most wasn't the money. It was the silence. Success didn't scream. It didn't announce itself to the world the way he imagined. It arrived quietly, like confirmation of something he'd always known but never been able to prove. Back home, Sofia found out the same way most people did. Through a screen. A mutual friend shared an article. A photo of Lucas in a new jersey. Headlines about foreign contracts and rising talent. She stared at the image longer than she meant to. At first, she told herself she felt happy for him. Then came the questions. What if I had stayed? What if I had believed? Regret doesn't hit all at once. Seeps in. Sofia followed his life from a distance. Interviews. Matches. The quiet confidence in his posture. This wasn't the man she left behind with muddy shoes and uncertainty. This was someone else. And yet he was still him. She sent a message one night. Casual. Light. As if nothing had happened. Lucas saw it hours later. He didn't reply. Around that same time, someone else entered his life in the most unexpected way. Amelia Carter. Sofia's younger sister. They met by coincidence during a family visit. Amelia had always been different. Quieter. More observant. She remembered Lucas not as a dreamer, but as someone who never complained. Someone who showed up even when no one was watching. They talked. First cautiously, then honestly. Amelia didn't ask him what he planned to become. She asked how he endured the hardest moments. She didn't question his choices. She respected them. When Lucas spoke about football, she listened, not with doubt but with understanding. Their relationship grew slowly. No rush. No pressure. She supported him not because he was successful, but because she believed in the version of him that existed long before success arrived. That difference mattered. When they married, it wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about proving a point. It was about alignment. About choosing someone who believed before the applause, not after. The wedding was beautiful. Elegant. Quietly luxurious. Family. Close friends. Smiles that came from peace, not validation. Sofia attended. She watched from a distance as Lucas stood confident, grounded, fulfilled. She saw how Amelia looked at him, with pride that didn't depend on money or status. And in that moment, the truth settled heavy in her chest. She hadn't lost him because of bad timing. She lost him because she didn't believe in small beginnings. Later, Sofia tried once more. A longer message this time. Honest. Apologetic. Full of if only. Lucas read it carefully. Then he replied with kindness but firmness. He wished her well. Nothing more. Today, Lucas lives a life many people dream of. Comfort. Stability. Love. But what defines him isn't the luxury. It's the journey no one wanted to walk with him. And this is where I want to speak directly to you listening right now. I've seen this story repeat itself in different forms. People abandoning dreams because they don't look impressive yet. Walking away from others because their growth isn't loud enough. Most great things start quietly. Most victories begin when no one is clapping. If there's one lesson here, it's this. Never underestimate small beginnings. The thing that looks fragile today might be unstoppable tomorrow. Thank you for staying until the end of this story. If it resonated with you in any way, consider subscribing to the channel. There are many more real, emotional stories coming. Stories about love, loss, resilience, and the moments that change everything. Your support helps these stories reach the people who need to hear them most.